Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the movie Hangout. The Lord of the Rings disaster. That's the topic of this video. Before I jump into it, if you could go on over, click subscribe, comment, like, I really appreciate it. Okay, so as you all know, unless you've been living under a rock, Amazon has poured hundreds of millions of dollars into this retelling, adaptation, update, whatever buzzword that they're giving this thing now of Lord of the Rings, and our expectations were pretty much rock bottom as it was. But I think they got like the biggest shovel and backhoe they possibly could, and they're just digging deeper and deeper and deeper until they come out the other side. So bounding into comics here, which I love to read, it's a good site. Amazon Prime Video uses Vanity Fair to attack critics of The Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, as trolls. So there's this really boring puff piece that is in the propaganda site, Vanity Fair, and that's all that site is. I know it has prestige, but the reason why it has prestige is because it's held up by the movie studios. The movie studios give access to the writers of Vanity Fair that they don't give to other publications. That's why Vanity Fair is Vanity Fair. If Bounding into Comics had exclusive access to writers, directors, producers, storytellers, Bounding into Comics would be the number one site in entertainment. It's all about access, and they have a chokehold on it. And that's why they can't stand any of us, any of the fans of The Lord of the Rings, or just people that like good traditional storytelling, to speak out against all this woke ideology, the swapping of different characters to fit agendas. And they're going to dehumanize us. They're going to call us names, and they're going to call us trolls, of course. They don't call us hobbits, though, but they call us trolls. I think I would be more of an elf, but whatever. Amazon Prime Video appears to be using Vanity Fair to attack the Lord of the Rings fans who have criticized the show for not staying faithful to Tolkien's original work. As is expected in this modern era of woke Hollywood, Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, executive producer Lindsay Weber explained in a puff piece for Vanity Fair, the show altered and race swapped multiple characters in order to reflect the world, what the world actually looks like. So the whole reason why you have a fantasy movie or fantasy story is because you're not reflecting what the world looks like. You're creating a different world. And people that aren't okay with that, people that aren't okay with what the characters look like in the traditional European story, those are the people that are the trolls, and those are the people that have the problem. Not all of us that like what it traditionally was. In the article by Vanity Fair, the outlet reveals the show will include Lenny Harry playing a Harfoot, Sophia Nambi playing a dwarf princess, and this is the dwarf princess right here. They're showing her hands, and they're obviously playing off on her skin color here because they're only showing the hands, and you know, this is political. This isn't entertainment or storytelling. It's propaganda, and it's political. And you wouldn't see this with other stories from other parts of the world. They wouldn't be doing this to a story out of China or Japan, or any African tales or South America. They're only doing it for this because it's beloved. Weber explained these casting changes, stating, "It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like." It isn't natural because you're literally swapping out people who would normally be in a European tale for other groups of people. I mean, this is projection. This is a person who doesn't like certain groups of people, and so she's just swapping them out for other groups. She argued Tolkien is for everyone. Well, Tolkien is for everyone, but the Tolkien stories are European, and you don't have to have the elves or the dwarves or any other characters look like the whole rest of the world for people to enjoy them. People have to kind of be adults and realize that not everybody in the world is going to look like you, but you can actually watch what people do, their actions and their character, and you can feel a kind of a kinship with them. They don't have to be a mirror reflection of you physically, but that's what she's saying. She can't really, I guess, empathize or feel a connection to somebody unless they look like her. His stories are about his fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together. Right, that's what the story is. You don't need to change it. One would think that when adapting a piece of fiction that has a storied history, one might think it would have been natural to reflect what Tolkien actually wrote rather than what the world actually looks like. Absolutely. It begs a question as to why Amazon would even want to adapt Tolkien if they didn't want to actually reflect what he wrote. Interestingly, the puff piece by Vanity Fair then paints people who wanted Prime Video to stay true to Tolkien's work as trolls. Vanity Fair's Anthony Bresnikan and Joanna Robinson wrote, when Amazon released photos of the multicultural cast, even without character names or plot details, the studio endured. They always have like a very emotional word. The studio endured a reflexive attack from trolls, the anonymous online kind. See, when you have a critique of their political stances, of their social stances that are actually, their stances are very intolerant and they're actually not diverse. And if you you don't attack them, you just say like, hey, this isn't cool, this doesn't make any sense, then they take that as a reflexive attack and they call you a troll, because you don't have to listen to a troll. You can just wave off of that person and forget about them. They go on to try and deride the fans. They're already bashing the fans. This thing is going to tank, and it deserves to, because you don't belittle your fans. I mean, who does that? If you're going to sell a product, you don't belittle people who you want to sell that product to. Deride the fans by citing a so-called Tolkien scholar named Mariana Rios Maldonado. Maldonado is not a Tolkien scholar, go figure, but is rather a PhD student at the University of Glasgow who is interested in ethics, feminist theory, of course, and encountering the other in Tolkien's works. Sounds like a social justice warrior, if there ever was one. You better believe it. And if that didn't convince you, she also happens to be the Equality and Diversity Officer, of course, for the University of Glasgow Center of Fantasy and the Fantastic. So they have a Center for the Fantasy and the Fantastic, an Equality and Diversity Officer of that. So basically what she does is she reports and tattletales on people if they say something she doesn't like, and she accuses them of horrible things. See, more propaganda pictures right here. Nevertheless, Vanity Fair and one suspects Amazon by association prop up this feminist as a Tolkien scholar to attack their fans. And this lady goes, obviously there was going to be push and backlash, but the question is, from whom? Who are these people that feel so threatened or disgusted by the idea that an elf is black, Latino, or Asian? So nobody is disgusted by this, okay? Nobody is. But what they're disgusted by is we already knew ahead of time you were going to accuse people of this crap. So that's what these woke people do. They'll take a cultural artifact from a part of the world. They will change it up how they, in their heart of hearts, would rather have it be. And if you were a person that enjoyed that cultural artifact and you object to them rearranging it to how they want it to be, they will then accuse you of being a bad person. It's the same formula every single time. And once you see that formula and you see what they're doing, the names they tell you or they call you, it doesn't degrade your self-worth. It doesn't make you feel bad anymore. Instead, they kind of out themselves as being just nasty, awful people. Well, that's actual fans of Tolkien's work who want an adaptation of it to stay true to it, of course. When I read a book, I want to see it represented on film. What a tough question. And wanting to stay true to the work does not mean you or threatened or disgusted to imply as such shows what kind of Tolkien scholar this person is. Their first thought is to attack people, of course. If you don't have logic and reason on your side, then all you can do is attack people with emotional, dehumanizing phrases. And yeah, another picture. But not only does Vanity and by association Amazon Studios attack the Lord of the Rings fans, they also reveal that the casting changes were cause for fans to be concerned that if you can't get that right, you won't get the rest right either. And that appears to be the case, as Vanity Fair reports that showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay have compressed events into a single point in time. That's right, they've completely done away with Tolkien's timeline. A timeline, you're telling a story, is literally the story, right? It lays out the plot of what's going to happen. The showrunners explain their decision. If you're true to the exact letter of the law, you're going to be telling a story in which your human characters are dying off every season because you're jumping 200 years in time. And then you're not meeting really big, important canon characters until season 4. I have very little hopes for this. I think that at best, probably what we're going to get is there might be some cool fighting scenes, but the majority of the entertainment is going to come from videos that creators make critiquing this just monstrosity. One good thing about this is that it's at least going to get the name, The Lord of the Rings, back into people's minds. And then people will go to the library or they'll go to the store and they'll buy up the original works of Tolkien. And they will pass over the Amazon insanity and they will actually watch the Peter Jackson films, which are absolutely phenomenal. They're works of art, and they're going to stand the test of time for sure. But let me know, what do you think? Do you think that Amazon is the series for Lord of the Rings is going to be amazing? It's going to be even better than Peter Jackson's work? Or do you think it's going to be a woke, just abyss of insanity, of intersectionality, just craziness? Let me know, comment below, and as always, if you want to get future rants, reviews, or original content, click subscribe. Later.